It begins with a hum in the sky, a single-engine plane. No security line, no seatmate, just 6 seats and 1 passenger. Flying from Antigua to Montserrat takes 20 minutes. But this flight crosses more than distance. It lands on a place that time and tragedy have tried to forget. Montserrat isn't like its neighbors. There's no resort strip, no neon welcome sign. What it does have are stories. Stories of the past, of when the small island was the pinnacle of opulence, until something tragic almost swept it off the planet. And here a local driver, not a historian, just a man who knows where the road bends, and what used to be there before takes me on a breathtaking journey up the hills where it all happened. This drive takes us from the north of the island, where most people now live, up through the hills toward one of the most haunting views in the Caribbean, the buried capital of Plymouth. But this isn't just a scenic ride. It's a journey through memory, survival, and a landscape still shaped by fire and ash. As we start heading out from the airport area, you'll notice how green and peaceful everything looks. That's one of the strangest things about Montserrat. The beauty masks the danger that once changed everything. Most of the island's population now lives in the north. After the eruptions in the 1990s, entire communities were forced to relocate from the south, sometimes overnight. What you see here is a quiet rebirth. Homes, schools, clinics, all part of the slow rebuild. This area is called St. Peter's. Today, you'll find a mix of old and new, homes with a view, but with a story beneath them. Montserrat is a British overseas territory. That means people here are British citizens and many carry UK passports. The island has a local premier and cabinet who handle daily affairs, but the British appointed governor oversees the police and civil service. It's a political setup with a colonial echo. The premier is elected, the governor is not. And sometimes that tension shapes how things get done. As we climb higher, the landscape begins to change. Fewer homes, less noise, more overgrowth. There's something about driving through Montserrat that makes you slow down, even if the car's moving fast. The roads are mostly empty. The air feels thick with memory, and every now and then you pass a house that feels like it's holding its breath. Sometimes you wonder, what was here before the silence? A school? A small shop? A child's voice echoing between trees? You realize this isn't just a place where people live. It's a place where they decided to keep living, even after the ground shifted beneath them, even after everything changed. And that decision? That's the quiet strength you feel with every turn in the road. As the road winds upward, the view becomes more dramatic and more peaceful. Mountains roll out like waves. Trees bend into the wind like they're listening to something we can't hear. It's beautiful, but not the kind of beauty you find in postcards. There's something strange about it, something quiet and spectacular at the same time. This is an island of just over 4,000 people, and most of them live in the north. You start to wonder, what's it like to live with so few neighbors? To carry the memory of ash and fire and still plant gardens every morning? There's a kind of humility here. No rush, no show. Just people who stayed when it would have been easier to leave. And maybe that's what makes it powerful. They live not in denial of the past, but in spite of it. The road curves higher now. The houses become fewer. The wind feels stronger, or maybe it's just the silence settling in. It's strange how quiet beauty can feel loud. On one side, there's the sea, wide, still, almost pretending nothing ever happened. On the other, thick green hills rise like walls, as if guarding secrets too old to name. There are no welcome signs here, no resorts, just the road, and the feeling that you're crossing into a part of the island most people don't talk about, not because they've forgotten, but because it remembers too well. You start to notice small things. An abandoned house swallowed by vines. A crumbling stone wall where a garden might have been. A dirt track leading to nowhere, or maybe somewhere no one wants to return. And yet, even here, the land doesn't look dead. It breathes. There are birds, banana trees, goats grazing on steep slopes like nothing ever happened. This part of the island holds tension in the air. Not danger exactly, more like reverence. You know you're getting close. As the road dips slightly, we pass a stretch of active construction. A new bridge rising over a gully where nothing looked out of place until the last rain came. Here, when the sky opens, it's not just water that flows. The last time it rained hard, mud came down fast, thick, heavy, and unrelenting. Vehicles were stuck, people stranded. A reminder that even decades later, the volcano still shapes how people move, live, and build. So now they're building the bridge higher and wider, not just to cross water, but to hold back what the mountain sometimes lets go. The work is steady. No heavy rush, no fanfare. Just men and machines shaping the land again, trying to get ahead of the next rainfall. Because in Montserrat, you don't forget what mud can do. You plan for it. We're now driving through Woodlands, one of the quieter residential areas on Montserrat, nestled in the hills above the coast. Before the volcano, it was mostly home to expats. Land here was expensive. Not many locals could afford to live in this area. But after the eruptions and evacuations, property values dropped. Slowly, locals moved in and started to reclaim the land. After the 1995 eruption, everything shifted. Plymouth, the capital, was buried. Government buildings were destroyed. Thousands of people evacuated the south, and Woodlands became part of the new heart of the island. That white building up ahead, that's Government House, the official residence of the governor of Montserrat. The original one in Plymouth was lost, so this new residence was built here, not just as a home, but as a symbol of continuity. It's where state events, official receptions, and ceremonial functions are now held. Today, Woodlands represents both survival and adaptation. It's a reminder that Montserrat didn't just rebuild structures, it recentered its future. As we drive through Woodlands, the scenery opens up in gentle, unexpected ways. The hills roll softly here, not dramatic, but calm. Houses are tucked into the greenery, surrounded by fruit trees, hibiscus, and stone fences softened by time. To the left, the sea flashes between the trees, bright and wide, as if it's watching everything in silence. The road rises steadily, but the energy stays low. There's something about this place that feels careful, almost sacred. Maybe it's the way the wind moves through the trees, or how the houses don't compete with the land. They just sit quietly in it. Woodlands doesn't demand your attention. It just invites you to notice. There's something about driving through Montserrat that makes you feel like the land is watching you. The trees lean in close. The road's narrow just enough to make you slow down. And in that stillness, you start to notice things. Stone walls built long ago. Stairs that lead to nowhere. Old fence posts swallowed by vines. All quiet signs that someone once lived here, and maybe still does. The land remembers. Even when the houses are gone, even when the roads have faded, and the people here, they don't fight the land, they adapt to it. If the mud comes, they build higher. If the sea takes something, they fish somewhere else. It's not about starting over. It's about adjusting and staying. You realize that resilience doesn't always look like a flag waving or a headline. Sometimes it looks like hanging laundry on a line, or tending to a small garden, or walking the same road every day, even if it's cracked and uneven. This part of the drive doesn't show you monuments. It shows you rhythm. It shows you people who have learned how to live with the land, not despite it, but beside it. We're now entering Salem, one of Montserrat's oldest and most storied villages. Before the eruption, this was a quiet community, mostly residential. But once people began evacuating from Plymouth, Salem quickly became the island's emergency hub. At one point, it held everything: schools, government offices, even temporary housing. For many Montserratians, this was the first place they stopped when the South became unsafe. Even today, you can feel that layered history. It's not dramatic, but it's present. The roads are narrow, the homes modest, but there's life here. Children playing, church bells on Sunday, local shopkeepers who know every face that walks by. And tucked not too far from here once stood something extraordinary. AIR Studios Montserrat, the world-class music studio built in the 1970s by Beatles producer George Martin. It drew global icons: Elton John, Paul McCartney, Stevie Wonder, The Police, Dire Straits. Some of the biggest hits of the 80s were born on this island, right here in these hills. The studio closed after Hurricane Hugo in 1989, and later the volcano made sure it never reopened. But the legacy still lingers. People here remember those days. Music is still part of the soul of this village, even if the world stopped listening. Salem may not be the center of Montserrat anymore, but it held the island together when it mattered most. There are moments on this drive when it feels like you've left the world behind. No crowds, no noise, just road and sky, and the quiet hum of a car that seems to know where it's going. You pass stretches of land where nothing moves. No people, no houses, just tall grass swaying like it's thinking. And you wonder, what did this place look like before the ash, before the maps were redrawn? To wake up with just the wind and the sea as your neighbors? It's not loneliness. It's something else, something deeper, like choosing to live away from everything, but not from meaning. That's what Montserrat does. It holds space for the people who stayed, the ones who didn't need crowds to feel alive, or cities to feel important. You don't just drive through this place. It's easy to drive through Salem now and see calm. Houses, trees, a few people on porches. Everything feels settled. But if you rewind just a few decades, this village became something else entirely. When the volcano started erupting in the mid-90s, thousands of people fled the south. From Plymouth, from Richmond Hill, from villages that disappeared under ash and silence. And many of them came here. Imagine that, having to leave your home, your history, everything familiar. And even though the pace here is slow today, every sidewalk, every fence post, every quiet corner in Salem holds a layer of that urgency. That moment when people had to start again without knowing if the ground would let them. As peaceful as Salem looks now, not every corner is open for development. Parts of this area fall close to the exclusion zone, where the terrain is unstable and the risk from the volcano is still considered active. To build here, residents need official government permission, and it's not just a formality. Anyone caught building or settling without clearance can be arrested and charged. That might seem harsh, but it's about safety. In the past, people who ignored the warnings lost not just property. Some lost their lives. The law came into effect after hard lessons, and even today it's enforced. It's one of the many ways life on Montserrat is shaped by what lies beneath. A reminder that while the land looks quiet, it still demands respect. We're approaching the exclusion zone, a restricted area that covers most of the southern part of the island. This is where Plymouth used to stand, Montserrat's capital, its heartbeat, completely buried in ash and mud. No one is allowed inside without official permission. The ground is unstable, and the volcano is still considered active. We're now driving through a place called Beverly Hills. Don't let the name fool you. This area sits just outside the exclusion zone. The volcano didn't destroy the homes here, it buried them. Some houses only have their top floor above ground. Others are completely abandoned. Yet people still live here. They've adapted, building upward, cleaning out what they can, and refusing to leave. Unlike the Beverly Hills in California, this one tells a very different story. Here, the hills aren't covered in mansions. They're covered in mud flows. Many of the homes you see weren't destroyed. They were buried. Some only show their second floor. Others have no visible roof at all, just the outline of what once was. But look closer. People still live here. When the volcano came down, some ran, some stayed, some left, and an unshakable kind of normal that exists even in the shadow of what was lost. Here, survival isn't loud. It's just part of the landscape. This used to be a golf course. Today, it's a reminder of just how far the ash reached. Hard to imagine now, but just years ago, people were teeing off here. Green grass, groomed fairways, a peaceful escape tucked into Montserrat's hills. But the volcano doesn't care what stood where. When the mud flows came down, they swallowed it. Hole by hole, cart path by cart path. What was once a place for leisure and luxury is now just part of the road. We're actually driving on the old course now. What used to be soft green is now solid ground, laced with ash and memory. The mud didn't destroy the way fire does. It consumed slowly, layer by layer. Just off to the side here. You'll see it. That's not a shed. It's the second floor of a house. The rest? It's buried, swallowed by years of mud flows that came down from the volcano and never left. This was once part of the neighborhood surrounding Montserrat's golf course, back when this area was known for weekend games and quiet, open views. What you're looking at, those rooftops used to be 5-story buildings. The court, the hospital, the market, even a famous recording studio. Now they sit in silence, a frozen reminder of what once was. Just below the surface, Montserrat is still active, economically and geologically. One of its biggest industries today is sand. Volcanic sand, to be specific, rich, fine, and perfect for construction. Right now, most of the sand mining is informal. People collect and export it, often without regulation. But there's value here, and a growing push to manage it better so the island benefits. It's a resource born of destruction, but full of potential. We're almost there now. The road narrows, the trees pull back, and the air shifts. You can feel it, even before you see it. Like the mountain knows what's coming next. There's no dramatic sign, no checkpoint, just a slow unfolding of horizon and silence. It's hard to explain what it feels like to drive toward a place that no longer exists, but still takes up space. The view is just ahead, but already your mind starts to fill in the gaps. What did this road used to lead to? Who used to drive up here before the ash came down? It's quiet now, almost too quiet. But it's not an empty quiet. It's a watching quiet, like the land remembers exactly what it buried. In a few more seconds, we'll see it. Plymouth, or at least what's left. As we reach the top of the hill, the view opens wide, and it's breathtaking. Below us, Plymouth lies buried in silence. But just above the ash line, homes still stand. Big houses, some built like mansions. It's surreal, this mix of survival and abandonment. Some of these buildings still have clean lines, full walls, full roofs. Like they're frozen in time, waiting for life to return. And then beyond the ruins, the coastline. Blue, pristine, untouched. As if the sea never got the memo that the land had changed forever. You can't help but wonder, what lies out there now, hidden beneath the soil and sea? What treasures were left behind in the rush to escape? What kind of creatures make their home in a place left so still so long? This is a view you don't forget, because it's not just beautiful. It's layered, it's quiet but loud with history. Montserrat is a place of layers, geological, historical, emotional. Beneath the trees are buried roads. Beneath the soil, entire neighborhoods. But above all of that is resilience. People here didn't just evacuate, they adapted. They rebuilt. They stayed. So whether you come for the story, the scenery, or the silence, you leave with respect. This is Montserrat, the island that stood still and never gave up.